there, I'm Artemis and welcome into today's video. Are you a broke skater or are you just trying to save some money while out skating? Well, in today's video, we're going to go over some points that only broke skaters tend to understand. So if you're a broke skater and I missed something out, leave it down in the comments below what I missed. But anyway, let's jump straight into the video. So first on the list is repairing your shoes, skating old shoes, you know, stuff like that. And basically with that, we all tend to use shoe goo. Like, I have not personally, used shoe goo or anything because I've been lucky enough to just be able to afford enough cheap pairs of shoes, which is another point we'll get into later. But basically, skaters don't like to, waste money on shoes or anything like that. So they will skate them right down to the bare bones to the point that they are, breaking and all that kind of stuff. Again, you'll probably be seeing the images on screen right now of what I mean by that. Let's go on with what we can do to prevent that. And that is shoe goo, trick tape, anything like that. I will try and leave some affiliate links down below through to Amazon. If I can find any links, so there will be affiliate links down below. But if you want to go and get some shoe goo for yourself, it's pretty cheap. Usually it's about like £5 UK, so probably about $5 to $6 to $7 US. So yeah, just keep an eye out for shoe goo. Most local skate shops will also have shoe goo or some variation of it, and always support local. Now, next on the list at number 2. And I would say I have the most recent experience with this right now, especially with the board that's just under the camera that you can't see. I will show you guys in a second, which is skating razor tail. So for you guys who don't know what razor tail is, for any of you beginners, this is razor tail. So this is pretty bad razor tail, but as you can see, it's a lot thinner. And like, as you can see from the board here, it gets thinner and thinner at the top, and if you let it go on too long, it tends to be more like, well, a razor, hence the name razor tail. The other thing is we tend to skate a lot of broken boards as well. Like, we'll break our boards before we replace it because we want to get as much life out of each board as we can, because we can't exactly go out of our way to go and buy a new one, especially if it's like a very good branded board. So like, say, Creature or Dark Star or, Santa Cruz, Powell Peralta, all those types of boards and stuff. So they're on the very dear end. So the best ones we go for, which is actually our next point, and that is skating cheap gear. Buying the cheapest of the cheap that we can, occasionally getting ourselves something like really good, especially if it's trucks or wheels, something like that. So we will skate cheap gear all the way through our skating lives, most likely, especially if we stay broke for a while. So I'm going to move the board down here while looking at you guys because I want to stare into your soul. But we skate cheap gear because it's the easiest to access. We can get it cheap. We are always looking for a sort of cheap deal on boards, decks, trucks, wheels. We'll go to the cheapest of the cheap. We'll try and find something in our like size. So like, for me, I would be trying to find an 825. If it was a deck, something that fits truck wise, anything that's pretty cheap. Now, I know you guys can see the board in the background, and that was actually a cheap board. That was about £30, maybe about £25. And I can't remember what that converts to in US, but again, leave it down in the comments below if you know the actual conversion rate. When I'm converting it, I'm doing it off the top of my head, so I'm just kind of guesstimating here. Now, the next thing to kind of do with cheap gear is that also it doesn't last that long. So again, sometimes we keep it. And that is actually our next point, which is keeping old gear. So like, I have a, box of bearings, which is actually in that shoe box over there, if you can see it. And keeping old bolts, bushings, all that stuff, which I will actually maybe replace on one of my boards, because one of the bushings are actually chipping away, and it's probably time for me to get some new bushings, or at least use bushings that I've not used yet. So again, that's what that little bag that I have is for. And yeah, we just love to keep old gear because we never know when we need it. Again, I have a set of brand new bearings right here, but I've got another packet that's also sitting over there. You guys can't see it because it's out of focus and stuff. But yeah, we like to keep our old gear just in case, just as a spare. You know, some skaters have to skate like 7 different types of bearings. So like they could have like 2 or 3 Bones Reds and then, you know, some Bronsons or whatever. And to do with old gear, they also skate hand-me-down gear, which is actually point number whatever we're on. Again, editor Artemis will put the points up here or make a screen for each point. Now, what hand-me-down gear is kind of what it sounds like, right? A lot of skaters in the skateboarding community, especially around skate parks and stuff like that, they tend to, you know, hand out old gear or maybe like slightly newer gear, but they don't have a use for it. So you guys, you know, we get the older gear, but like we're still getting it for like free and stuff. So we're not going to complain because then we don't have to buy anything for ourselves, unless it's absolutely necessary and like something like bearings or wheels or a deck. But sometimes skaters even get a free deck, especially at skate parks, and a lot of the skateboarding community is like this. Now, I've not had a personal experience in getting a hand-me-down board, but every skater tends to at least skate one hand-me-down piece of gear at some point. So next thing, keeping on this cheap trend that we're doing just now, let's go on about food. Now, broke skaters will never try to, you know, buy massive amounts of food or anything for themselves. They will try and buy the cheapest of the cheap, whether that's like petrol or gas station food or like saver menu kind of food in the UK or dollar menu in the US, types of, you know, food, you know? I couldn't remember the word there. Don't judge me for that momentary lapse in judgment. But we do like to, you know, save money on our food, but we will try and, you know, still eat at least decently healthy. Or at least try and get, you know, enough energy from that food. So, like, sometimes we'll get pizza, like a cheaper pizza, or we'll get, you know, stuff off, again, a McDonald's, like, saver menu type of thing. You know, there's plenty of ways for us to, you know, find ways to get cheap or free food. And, again, we have to be a lot more resourceful than other skaters. You know, the skaters that are slightly, you know, better off than us. And again, I'm talking from experience from being a broke skater over the last like few years. And yeah, so like, I just want to use this video to actually point out that, you know, we can still be resourceful and we love skating, but we'll spend a lot of money on skating. Now, I know you guys are going to say something here, and that is actually based on my camera, because my camera is a pretty decent camera. So I'm going to get this point out of the way just now. I prioritized streaming for a long time, you know, and I still do sometimes over skating, but like I love to skate and I want to eventually like make content and stuff out of like proper skating, not just talking about skating. So you guys are going to come along on a journey with me when I'm down in London, which is, I'll actually be down in London by the time this video comes out. I'm actually down there today. I got there about 8 in the morning, something like that. So, yeah. So keep an eye out for future content, because I will be doing some skate content when I'm down there. As of recording this, I've still got a couple of days till I leave, but I know this is coming out on the Wednesday or the Thursday. And that's how I know that, you know, I'll be down in London. Anyway, let's get back on track and stop going on tangents, Artemis. That would be very helpful. Now, one of the last points here, I did give you guys a bonus point by accident as a main point, but we're not going to worry about that. Up next on our list is actually an old or smashed phone or like cracked phone or whatever. Again, you guys can probably tell mine's is okay, but if I put it in the right lighting, you guys can see, the crack in the phone. But yeah, older phones, they can't get the best amount of like image quality or anything like that. But again, because of how clip based and all that kind of stuff skating is, it doesn't help a lot to have like a cheaper phone, but we just have to make do. And the best way to circumvent this is, if you have a friend with a better phone than yours, ask them nicely to film for you, and just send you the clips and stuff so you can edit them and all that kind of thing. Now, again, one other thing to do with this in a way is kind of, we can't go on massive skate trips. We can't get a ride to, a skate park that's like an hour away in a car or whatever. So we never get to go on bigger skate trips. Or like for some of us who are a lot more lucky, we don't get to go to Camp Woodward or anything like that. Because again, I have a lot of broke skater friends as well. So like none of us really tend to, go on massive skate trips or anything. We'll meet at like our local skate parks or whatever, which for me is still like a 25 to an hour away on like bus and stuff. And again, that's just because, again, I don't make enough money to have like a license or anything, or like get driving license to do a license or anything. But yeah, so again, just try and find ways like to get there. Again, for people in the UK, it's probably a lot easier to get to skate parks that are a lot more out of the way, and that is because we have slightly better public transportation than the US does, especially in rural areas, because a lot of the skate community in Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, all that is quite rural, to be honest. I know quite a lot of skaters in this town. Again, I'm not going to say it because that would be doxing myself, because I'm not that stupid. But, Anyway, moving on to our last... actually, this is our last point, and technically our bonus point. Technically one of our bonus points, and that is skating the same clothing. As you can probably tell from my videos, I kind of wear a lot of the same clothing. Being that jumper in the background that you see right now, this jumper, my purple hoodie, maybe I switch it up from time to time with certain types of hoodies and stuff, but you notice that my joggers are usually always the same, and that's because I don't have a lot of things that I can skate in, so I just make the videos in my skatewear and stuff like that, so you guys don't get confused and all that. And the other reason a lot of broke skaters do this is because we have a limited wardrobe anyway, so picking out like skate clothes and stuff like that for like clips on Instagram and stuff, we're not going to change much of that, or we're not going to do different combinations because sometimes it doesn't work, So yeah, that was today's video. I hope you guys found something informative about that. Anyway, I'm going to see you guys later. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And as always, happy skating and peace out. Bye.